Nothing cuts deeper than the moment your mockery turns into silence and your silence turns into fear. Chosen ones, that's what the community is living right now. The very people who once dismissed you, laughed at you, called you extreme, are now frozen in disbelief. It's like watching a magician's trick backfire in slow motion. The same crowd that cheered when you were ridiculed is now gasping, realizing the warnings they ignored are no longer whispers. They're headlines, they're reality, and every single denial they threw at you is now coming back as a haunting echo. Here's the thing about truth: it doesn't need your permission to exist. Like fire hidden under dry leaves, it only takes a spark to expose everything. Chosen ones, you were that spark. You told them the storm was coming and they called you paranoid. You pointed out the cracks in the wall and they mocked you for being negative. But now the wall is collapsing brick by brick right in front of them, and the dust is choking the same voices that once mocked yours. That's not coincidence, that's consequence. And let's bring in the facts. Psychology has a term for this: cognitive dissonance. It's the mental earthquake people feel when reality collides with the lies they built their comfort around. Right now, that earthquake is shaking their entire foundation. They aren't just confused, they're exposed. Their private lives don't match their public performances anymore. They act calm in the daylight, but at night they're scrolling through articles about stress, karma, and how to undo mistakes fast. They're scrambling because the universe doesn't issue refunds, only receipts, and those receipts are showing up everywhere. And Chosen One, before we dive deeper, let me pause here to thank you. Thank you for your courage, your patience, your silence that spoke louder than their noise. Don't forget to return the energy. Press like, subscribe, and share this message so more souls can see the truth for what it is. This is bigger than you and me. It's about spreading the light where shadows have grown too comfortable. And thank you again, Chosen One, for being part of this mission. You are not standing alone. You are part of a force. Now let's get back to what's unfolding, because this is important. The whole community is shook, not because the storm arrived, but because it arrived exactly the way you described. They thought you were exaggerating when you spoke about betrayal, secrets, and manipulation behind closed doors. They said you were dramatic when you pointed out the patterns of abuse and the quiet deals being made in the dark. But what's happening now? Every single one of those things is crawling out from under the rug like bugs scattering when the light gets turned on. The truth was always there. It just needed time to grow too big to hide. Think about it this way. If you cover a boiling pot and pretend the heat isn't rising, does that stop it from spilling over? No, it only makes the eruption louder when it finally happens. That's exactly what the community is dealing with right now. They ignored the warning signs, slapped labels on you to make themselves feel safe, but the eruption couldn't be stopped. And now they're left with a mess too big to clean, because pretending doesn't erase reality. It only delays it. And this isn't just about being right. This is about vindication. Chosen ones, your warnings weren't guesses, they were clarity. You weren't looking into the future, you were looking at the present without filters. And that terrified them. That's why they laughed, that's why they ridiculed, because admitting you were right meant admitting they were blind. And people would rather drown in denial than admit they missed the obvious. But the universe has a way of forcing truth into the open. No matter how many blankets of lies people try to cover it with. Now the panic is setting in. Watch closely. They're acting like everything is fine, but their hands are shaking. They're posting smiling pictures online, but their search history is filled with desperation. They're suddenly talking about energy shifts and bad luck, when just a few months ago they mocked you for even mentioning energy at all. This isn't coincidence. it's exposure. The masks they wore are slipping, and underneath you see the fear they tried to hide. Chosen One, let's be honest, this isn't the first time you've seen this pattern. History repeats itself. Remember Galileo, laughed at for saying the Earth wasn't the center of the universe? Or the scientists who warned about smoking being dangerous while companies called them liars? The pattern is the same. Truth is rejected first, then ridiculed, then violently opposed, and finally accepted as undeniable. You're living through that very cycle right now, and the community is at the breaking point between denial and acceptance. And here's the irony. They thought exposing you would save them, but the exposure has turned back on them. The whispers they thought would destroy your name are now being shouted at their doorsteps. The very accusations they threw at you are the same ones people are throwing at them today. It's poetic justice, and it stings worse than any insult you ever endured. Because the truth doesn't just set you free, it traps the liar in the cage they built for you. So pay attention, Chosen One. This isn't just another moment, it's the shift. This is where the universe reveals the difference between those who mocked and those who endured. This is where silence wins louder than noise. And this is where every warning you gave becomes proof you weren't crazy, you weren't paranoid, you were simply awake. The community is shook because the game is up. The light has spilled into every dark corner, and no amount of denial can put it back in the shadows. And now we're going to break it down even further, because what's happening isn't random. It's the unraveling of a system that thought it was untouchable. Chosen Ones, your time has come, and their time has run out. So let's talk about what's next, because everything you warned about is no longer hidden. It's unfolding right here, right now. And Chosen One, before we go further, let me thank you for standing strong and showing up here. What you're about to hear isn't just talk. It's the unfolding of everything you've warned about, and the proof is shaking your whole community right now. This message was built with care, with truth, and with fire, so drop a comment below with 777 if you're ready to claim your vindication. And if you feel led, bless the team behind this with your support, because every gift, whether small or great, keeps this mission alive and helps spread the light wider. Believe me, you'll regret it if you miss what comes next. Stay locked in, Chosen One, because the deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. And now, let's step right into it, piece by piece, because by the end, you'll see just how unstoppable you truly are. Number 1, they called you paranoid, but you were already reading the future. Nothing haunts a liar more than the memory of the one who saw through them from the very start. Chosen One, that's the dagger twisting in their chest right now. They thought you were paranoid, dramatic, unstable. But what they called paranoia was actually perception. You weren't scared of shadows. You were sensing the storm before the clouds even appeared. And now, as the sky breaks wide open, they're choking on the smoke of the fire. You warned them was coming. Let's get one thing straight. Paranoia is fear without foundation, but perception is intelligence sharpened by silence, a radar tuned to frequencies most people can't hear. You weren't imagining betrayals. You felt the shift before the knife ever touched your back. You weren't inventing lies. You smelled the rot long before the confession spilled out. And you weren't crazy for calling it out. You were early. That's the part that stings them most. You were ahead of them, and now they're catching up too late. Ask yourself this: why did they mock you so hard? Why did they roll their eyes, laugh at your words, and dismiss your warnings as negativity? It wasn't because you were wrong, it was because you were right too soon. The truth terrifies people more when it's invisible, because it forces them to admit the comfort they live in is built on sand. And instead of facing that discomfort, they pointed fingers at you. They slapped labels on you to make themselves feel safe. Paranoid. Too deep. Overthinking. Those words weren't descriptions of you, they were shields for them, shields to block the fact that you could see what they couldn't stomach. But here's the brutal reality. Those same people who mocked you are now pacing their bedrooms at 2 a.m., fighting with a truth they can't deny anymore. Their faces are calm in public, but behind closed doors their hands tremble. Their sleep is broken, and their thoughts loop back to everything you once said. They're living with the aftershocks of what you perceived first, and it's tearing them apart. The lies they defended have turned into chains around their necks. The masks they wore have cracked, and now everyone sees what you always sensed. Imagine it like this: a dog smells smoke before the human notices the fire. That's what you were. While they were laughing in the living room, you were already at the door, smelling the smoke, feeling the heat, warning them to get out. They ignored you, mocked you, called you dramatic. And now, as the flames tear down the walls, who looks crazy? Not the one who left early, not the one who trusted their senses. It's the ones who stayed behind, roasting in denial, who now look foolish. That's the poetic justice of perception. It ages like fine wine, while their denial spoils like milk. And let's throw in some hard truth. Psychology backs you up here. Studies show that people who are highly perceptive, empaths, analysts, observers, pick up on micro-signals others miss. They notice the tension in a room before a word is spoken. They sense inconsistencies in behavior long before they can be proven. That's not paranoia, it's heightened awareness. And Chosen One, that's exactly what you were walking with. A gift that feels like a curse at first, because it isolates you from the blind crowd. But when the truth finally breaks the surface, it crowns you with vindication. And here's the question echoing in their minds now. How did you know? How did you see it? They can't wrap their heads around it because it wasn't logic. It was intuition, sharpened by experience, by wounds, by wisdom the universe carved into you. They want to call it luck, coincidence, or conspiracy, but deep down, they know the answer. They know you were simply awake while they were asleep. And that realization burns. It burns worse than any insult they threw at you because it forces them to admit they weren't just wrong. They were blind, willfully blind. Chosen One, let this sink in. You don't need revenge. You don't need to argue. You don't even need an apology. Your very existence is revenge enough. Every whisper you once spoke in doubt is now a shout in their memory. Every warning they dismissed is now a mirror they can't avoid. You've become living proof that perception beats denial, that silence beats noise, that patience beats performance. And that proof is a wound they can't heal. Think of it like a chess game. You weren't paranoid for thinking 3 moves ahead. You were strategic. They were the ones playing checkers, short-sighted, thinking only of the moment, blind to the traps. Now, the board has shifted and every piece you moved in silence has trapped them in checkmate. And what do they have left? Excuses. Excuses that sound emptier with every passing day. This is why the community is shook. Not just because the truth came out, but because it came out exactly as you warned, down to the details they mocked. They can't hide behind coincidence anymore. They can't call it exaggeration. They can't label you as paranoid because reality itself has become your witness. And now they're standing in the wreckage of their own denial, surrounded by the ruins of what they thought was safe. And Chosen One, here's the beauty in all this. You don't just survive, you thrive. Because while they were gossiping, you were grounding yourself. While they were mocking, you were mastering yourself. While they were laughing, you were listening. And that's why when the walls collapsed, you weren't buried under the rubble. You were already standing clear, watching the collapse from a place of strength. That's not paranoia, that's preparation. So let them sit in the ashes of their laughter. Let them replay every word you said in their minds, like a haunting refrain. Let them choke on the irony that the one they mocked is the one they should have listened to. That's your victory, not in their suffering, but in your vindication. They called you paranoid, but you were never paranoid. You were perceiving, you were awake, you were right. And now the world has no choice but to admit it. Number 2. The truth never begged for a crowd, but it spreads like fire in the quiet. Truth is the one guest no crowd ever wants at their party, but it always shows up and it never leaves quietly. Chosen one, that's the dagger in their chest right now. When you first spoke up, your words hit like broken glass under bare feet. They couldn't handle it, so they made you the villain. They rolled their eyes, sneered, whispered, and tried to shame you into silence. But the truth wasn't poison in your mouth. It was medicine they weren't ready to swallow. And that's the difference. You weren't hated because you were wrong. You were hated because you were right too soon and right too sharply. Here's the irony. Lies draw a crowd, but truth clears a room. Why? Because lies make people comfortable, while truth makes them confront what they'd rather keep buried. Imagine standing in a theater where everyone is enjoying a movie, believing the fire on screen isn't real. Then you smell smoke. You shout, "Something's burning." Instead of running with you, they call you paranoid, bitter, dramatic. Not because the fire isn't real, but because admitting you're right means leaving their seat, their comfort, their illusion. They'd rather call you names than face flames. But chosen one, here's the punchline, that theater is now full of smoke, and the same people who mocked you are gasping for air. Silence doesn't hide the truth, it sharpens it. Think about this. At first, your words felt like daggers in their ears, so they tried to drown you out with gossip, with laughter, with labels. They told themselves, if enough people call you wrong, then you must be wrong. But numbers don't change facts. A crowd can agree the earth is flat. It doesn't make it true. And now, in your silence, every word you ever spoke is echoing louder than before. That's the part driving them insane. You're not trying to prove yourself anymore, and that absence of effort is screaming louder than your arguments ever did. And here's a question they're secretly asking themselves in the dead of night. Why did you stop talking? Why are you so calm now? Because they know, deep down, that silence is never empty. Silence means you don't need their validation anymore. Silence means you've shifted from defending yourself to watching the universe defend you. And that terrifies them, because the minute you stop explaining, they're left alone with their own thoughts. No one can argue against an echo that keeps replaying in their own head. Truth doesn't beg to be seen, it simply waits to be undeniable. Imagine this, a seed planted underground. No one sees it, so they mock you for believing it's alive. They tell you it's just dirt, nothing more. But you wait. You know what's coming. And one day, a green shoot breaks the surface, undeniable, unstoppable. That's how your warnings worked. They mocked the seed, but they can't mock the tree. And now that it's towering over them, they're pretending they didn't hear your words years ago. But they did. They heard every single one, and it's replaying like a drum beat in their memory. And chosen one, don't miss this. The crowd never wanted the truth, because truth demands change. If you were right, it meant they had to leave toxic relationships, abandon false idols, admit the system they loved was rotten. That's why they fought you. It was never about your words. It was about their denial. Labeling you negative was easier than facing their own weakness. Dismissing you as too deep was simpler than digging into their own shallow lives. But time has a way of stripping away excuses. And now? Now they're choking on the same reality they once mocked. Truth is allergic to crowds because crowds worship comfort, not clarity. Think of a carnival, bright lights, music, everyone laughing, eating sugar, pretending everything's perfect. Then someone pulls the curtain back and reveals the machinery, the broken gears, the rust, the illusion. The crowd doesn't thank the person who exposed it, they attack them. Why? Because it ruins the fun. You ruined the fun, chosen one, and they hated you for it. But guess what? The carnival is shutting down, the lights are flickering, and the music has stopped. Now everyone's looking around in silence, realizing the rides were broken all along. And here's what's shaking them to the core. You haven't said a word. You're not out there yelling, "I told you so." You're not demanding apologies. You're not begging for validation. You're simply existing, calm, steady, silent. And that silence is deafening. Because when someone stops talking, everyone else is forced to start thinking. They remember the warnings, they replay the conversations, they connect the dots they once refused to see. And in that quiet, your words they tried to bury, come back stronger than ever. Imagine this: you drop a stone in a still lake. The ripples move outward, slow but unstoppable. That's your truth. It started small, ignored, mocked, but silence let the ripples spread until they reached every corner of the water. Now, even the ones on the farthest edge can feel the movement. That's why the community is shook. Because the silence you've embraced isn't weakness, it's power. And chosen one, let's flip the question. What's more frightening, a person who shouts or a person who smiles and says nothing? A shout you can argue with, dismiss or drown out. But silence? Silence gets under your skin. Silence lingers. Silence forces you to argue with yourself. That's what's happening to them right now. They can't argue with you anymore because you're not giving them anything to fight against. Instead, they're fighting their own conscience, and that's a war they can't win. So understand this: you were never the problem. The problem was their inability to handle the sharpness of truth. The problem was their addiction to comfort, their worship of crowds, their dependence on denial. You didn't break their world, the truth did. You just happened to be the messenger, and now that truth is too loud to ignore, too big to bury, too alive to kill. Lies can build a house, but truth is the earthquake that shakes it down. That's where they are right now, standing in the rubble of the lies they clung to. And the cruelest part for them? They remember you standing in that same house, pointing at the cracks in the walls, saying, "This won't last." They laughed then. They're not laughing now. They're coughing on the dust of their denial, haunted by the memory of the one person they tried hardest to silence. And chosen one, that's your victory, not in rubbing it in their face, but in knowing you don't have to. The truth is doing all the work for you. Your silence has become its own megaphone. Your presence alone is proof. And no crowd, no lie, no label can erase it. Because the truth doesn't need a stage, it only needs time. And time, chosen one, has already crowned you. Number 3, they didn't banish you by accident. They engineered your exile. Exile isn't a mistake. It's the weapon of cowards who fear the one voice they can't control. Chosen one, let's be brutally clear. Your exile was not random, not coincidence, not oversight. It was strategy. The moment you refused to bite your tongue, the moment you shattered their illusion with uncomfortable truth, they pressed the eject button. You weren't sidelined because you were irrelevant. You were exiled because you were too dangerous to their carefully constructed lies. Ask yourself this: if you were so unimportant, why did an entire community align to shut you out? Why did they whisper, plot, and smear? People don't waste that much energy on someone who doesn't matter. They isolate only what threatens them. And you, chosen one, were the glitch in their system of silence. Your presence cracked the facade of unity because you refused to clap for dysfunction dressed as peace. You wouldn't play dumb when things didn't add up. You wouldn't pretend their togetherness wasn't stitched together by secrets. That refusal made you radioactive. Here's the truth: exile is often proof of impact. Think of Galileo, pushed aside for saying the Earth wasn't the center. Think of whistleblowers who were shunned until the corruption they exposed became undeniable. History repeats. Communities protect illusions the way addicts protect their fix, violently, desperately, and you were the one sober voice in a room full of denial. They couldn't mute the truth itself, so they tried muting you. Imagine this: a group sitting in a room with a cracked ceiling. You point up, that's going to collapse. Instead of thanking you, they glare, roll their eyes, and shove you out the door. Why? Because your warning ruins their illusion of safety. But what happens when the ceiling finally caves? Every scream they make is an echo of the voice they once tried to silence. That's happening now. Your exile didn't erase the cracks, it only delayed the collapse. And chosen one, here's the delicious irony: everything they schemed to bury is now rising to the surface on its own. The betrayals you named are unraveling. The very people you warned about are being exposed under the same spotlight they once hid behind. And those who helped push you to the margins, they're wide-eyed, stunned, watching your words replay in real time, because truth doesn't forget. Truth keeps receipts. So understand this: you weren't cast out because you didn't belong. You were cast out because your clarity belonged too much. You outgrew their comfort zone, and that scared them. But exile was never your ending. It was their confession. And now, as the fallout unfolds, the outcast is revealed as the only one who saw clearly all along. Number 4. You were the answer they prayed for, but rejected because you weren't wrapped in pretty packaging. People don't miss their blessing because it never came. They miss it because it didn't look the way they fantasized. Chosen one, that's exactly what happened to you, long before they even had the words for their desperation. Before the cracks in their lives became visible, before betrayal slapped them in the face, you were sent into their orbit as the very thing they were asking for. They begged for truth, for clarity, for protection from the snakes in their circle, for a way out of the cycles that were breaking them. And the universe didn't send thunder from the sky or an angel draped in light. It sent you, raw, real, human, without theatrics, without halos, just carrying the insight, the presence, and the cutthroat clarity they actually needed. But here's the brutal twist: they didn't recognize you. Why? Because you didn't fit the fantasy. They were expecting comfort, but you brought confrontation. They wanted someone soft-spoken, palatable, easy to digest. Instead, you came sharp, unfiltered, and unwilling to shrink just to protect their illusions. That scared them. You weren't there to sing lullabies while the house burned. You came to bang on the door and drag them out. And instead of thanking you, they cursed you. Imagine this: someone drowning calls for help. They picture a lifeguard, calm and smiling, pulling them gently to safety. Instead, a stranger dives in, grabs them by the collar, and yanks them out of the water, choking. It doesn't feel like rescue in the moment. It feels like violence. That's you, chosen one. You weren't soft, you weren't nice. You were necessary, but because your arrival didn't match their fantasy, they labeled you the problem. Truth doesn't always arrive dressed like salvation. It often shows up disguised as discomfort, and that's where they stumbled. They thought healing would feel gentle, but it came like exposure. They thought guidance would sound soothing, but it came like confrontation. They thought protection would whisper, but it shouted. And because you didn't look like the savior they pictured, they cast you out like an enemy. But look at what's happening now. The very people you warned them about are revealing their true faces. The cycles you tried to interrupt are exploding in real time. The betrayals you pointed out are undeniable now. And the same ones who rejected you are left whispering to themselves, replaying your words, realizing the universe really did answer their prayer. They just sent the answer away because it wasn't wrapped in glitter. And here's the irony. They thought they were protecting themselves from harm when they pushed you out. What they really did was block their own healing. They mistook the cure for the poison. And now, as the fallout spreads around them, they're left with the haunting realization that the help they begged for came and went in the form of you. And they missed it. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were too real for their comfort. Number 5. You weren't the chaos. You were the siren they tried to mute. People don't hate the fire alarm because it lies. They hate it because it screams the truth they don't want to face. Chosen One, that's exactly what you were, the alarm. Long before the roof cracked, long before the smoke rose, your very presence carried the frequency of warning. You didn't need sirens or flashing lights. Your energy, your questions, your silence, even your refusal to play along with nonsense, screamed that something was off. You weren't chaos. You were the interruption that could have saved them from it. But here's the twist. They mistook your warning for the problem itself. They confused your discernment with disturbance. Instead of seeing your resistance as revelation, they labeled it rebellion. Why? Because comfort is addictive, and you disrupted their fix. They wanted to stay asleep in their illusions, so when you shook them awake, they slammed the snooze button on your voice. Too sensitive, they said. Too deep. Always negative. Those weren't descriptions of you. They were excuses to ignore the unease you stirred in their spirit. Imagine this, someone smelling gas in a house full of people laughing at dinner. You call it out. Instead of checking the stove, they accuse you of ruining the mood. That's what happened to you. You weren't inventing danger, you were alerting them to it. But they chose denial over disruption. And now, as the house explodes, they're scrambling through the rubble asking, why didn't anyone warn us? Someone did. You did. They just couldn't stand the sound of the alarm. Here's the irony. They thought chaos would arrive with fireworks. Loud, dramatic, impossible to miss. But real chaos often creeps in quietly. It shows up in small cracks, in subtle betrayals, in whispers behind closed doors. You sensed it when it was still invisible, and that unsettled them more than the chaos itself. Because if they admitted you were right back then, they'd have to admit you were always right about what was rotting beneath their illusions. And now, Chosen One, the fallout is undeniable. Relationships collapsing, secrets spilling, reputations crumbling like bricks dropped from the sky. The same people who silenced your voice are now haunted by it. Because the alarm they ignored is echoing in their memory, louder than ever. They can't escape it. They can't erase it. And deep down, they know you weren't the chaos. You were the warning that could have saved them. And now, all they can do is choke on the smoke of their own denial. Number 6. They weren't blind. They were guilty by choice. Silence in the face of truth isn't confusion. It's complicity dressed as safety. Chosen One, let's tear the mask off this once and for all. The community wasn't lost. They weren't clueless, and they sure as hell weren't innocent. They saw the same cracks you saw. They felt the tension, they heard the whispers, they watched the strange shifts in behavior. But instead of acknowledging it, they chose to look away. Why? Because facing truth meant risking exile. And most people would rather live chained in comfort than walk free in conviction. Think about it. If they truly didn't know, why did their eyes dart away when you spoke? Why did the room go silent when you entered? Why did they smirk, roll their eyes, and then avoid the subject altogether? Because they knew. They just didn't want to carry the burden of standing with you. They thought that staying quiet would shield them, but all it did was make their silence a vote for the lie. You weren't exposing just corruption or betrayal. You were exposing their cowardice. Imagine a burning building. You're screaming, "Fire!" while others see the smoke curling through the ceiling. They smell it, they feel the heat, but they sit there clutching their plates, pretending nothing is wrong, because leaving would mean losing their seat at the table. That's exactly what the community did. They watched you take the blows. They let you be smeared, ridiculed, and cast out, because siding with you meant being marked as the enemy too. And let's be real, it wasn't that they thought you were wrong, it's that they didn't want to suffer with you. They chose tribe over truth, groupthink over courage, silence over sacrifice. They left you to carry the weight of honesty alone, while they smiled in your face during the day and betrayed you with their passivity at night. Their silence was not neutral, it was agreement. Now look at the fallout. The very leaders they defended are being exposed. The fake peace they clung to has collapsed into chaos. The herd they hid inside is stampeding straight into disaster. And where are you, chosen one? Dry on the shore, untouched, holding the same truth they were too afraid to carry. That's the irony. The one they cast out is the only one standing strong, while the complicit drown in the flood they swore would never come. They weren't confused, they were complicit, and now their silence is screaming louder than your words ever did. Number 7, you didn't break their world, you tore off the mask, holding it together. Nothing terrifies liars more than the one who dares to point at the cracks in their perfect wall. Chosen one, that's why you were branded dangerous. Not because you came to destroy, but because you had the nerve to reveal what was already collapsing under its own weight. The community wasn't united, it was scripted. It was a stage play where everyone knew their part. Smile at the right time, nod at the right time, never dig too deep, and above all, never question the rot under the floorboards. They survived on illusion, not truth. And then you walked in. You didn't follow the script. You started asking the questions they rehearsed, not to hear. You challenged the behaviors they normalized in silence. You refused to nod along with dysfunction just to keep the peace. That alone turned you into a threat, not because you were wrong, but because your clarity made their comfort look cheap. Your honesty didn't just shine light, it set the entire room on fire. Suddenly, their fake smiles looked hollow. Their silence looked like agreement. Their loyalty looked like cowardice. You weren't the problem, you were the mirror. Imagine a carnival funhouse filled with mirrors that distort reality. Everyone's laughing, enjoying the twisted reflections, pretending the warping is normal. Then you walk in holding a clear, flat mirror. Suddenly their joy turns to rage because your mirror reveals what they actually look like. That's what your presence did. It wasn't your words they hated, it was what your presence forced them to see about themselves. And let's be real, they didn't fear you alone. They feared what you might spark in others, because truth is contagious. Courage spreads. Questioning becomes a virus in a room built on denial. And you were the carrier. That's why they whispered. That's why they smeared. That's why they pushed you out. Not because you broke their peace, but because you exposed their illusion. Now the mask has slipped. The secrets they buried are leaking like oil through cracked pavement. The tension they hid under fake unity is erupting in the open. The boat they told you not to rock has capsized. And here's the cruel irony. They blamed you for being divisive, but the collapse proves you were the only one telling the truth. You weren't the destroyer, you were the revealer. They built their house on sand and called it home. You just had the audacity to say it out loud. And now, as it crumbles, your voice echoes as the one sound they can't escape. Number 8. They branded you. Disrespectful because they couldn't handle your sight. People don't call you disrespectful when you bow. They call you disrespectful when you refuse to kneel to their lies. Chosen one, that's the wound they carry now. They needed a label for your resistance, a way to turn your strength into shame, so they dressed your discernment up as defiance. They said you had an attitude. They said you didn't know your place. They painted you as dramatic, divisive, rebellious. But let's be honest, what terrified them wasn't your tone. It was your truth. You saw what they had spent years rehearsing blindness for. You weren't disrespectful for questioning behavior that deserved questioning. You weren't out of line for pointing out the rot in the roots of what they called sacred. You weren't dramatic for refusing to worship leaders who fed on manipulation, control, and fear. No, you were awake. And that's what made you dangerous. Because when one person wakes up, others start stirring too. Imagine this, a room full of people applauding a crooked statue, nodding along, pretending it's perfectly straight. You step in and tilt your head, saying, "Wait, that's leaning." Suddenly, the applause dies. Not because the statue is straight, but because you revealed the lie they agreed to protect. That's what you did. You broke their trance. You made it harder for them to keep lying to themselves. Discernment looks like rebellion to those addicted to illusions. That's the truth of it. You refused to laugh at what wasn't funny. You refused to clap for what was corrupt. You stopped sitting quietly in rooms where truth was being strangled. You didn't play their politics, didn't kiss their rings, didn't sell your soul for acceptance. And that wasn't rebellion, it was self-respect. It was protection. It was your spirit refusing to bow to counterfeit power. And here's the part they can't escape now. The very leaders they idolized are cracking under exposure. The very systems they defended are collapsing under their own weight. The very secrets they swore were rumors are spilling in the open. And the one they labeled disrespectful, you, the one who simply had the courage to see clearly. They didn't hate you, chosen one. They hated what your clarity revealed about them. Your discernment shamed their complicity. Your honesty made their silence look guilty. And now, as the masks fall and the idols crumble, the label they tried to use to bury you has turned into proof that you were right all along. Your discernment wasn't disrespect. It was the alarm they ignored. And now they're choking on the smoke. Number 9. Your pain wasn't weakness, it was the evidence that convicted them. Nothing exposes a person's soul faster than how they treat the one who suffers. Chosen one, your suffering wasn't random and it wasn't meaningless. It was a stage, and the community's reactions to your pain became their true testimony. While you walked through betrayal, isolation, and unfairness, they revealed exactly who they were. Not with grand speeches, but with the little choices they thought no one would notice. Their silence, their indifference, their whispers. Those moments were not forgotten. They became receipts. They thought you were weak because you were hurting. They mistook your tears for fragility, your loneliness for failure, your silence for defeat. But here's the truth. Your suffering wasn't proof of your weakness. It was proof of their cowardice. Because while you endured the fire, they stood around the flames, mocking, dismissing, or adding more wood. And in doing so, they exposed their own character in ways they can never take back. Imagine a litmus test dropped in water. It doesn't create the color. It reveals what was already there. That's what your suffering did. It didn't create their cruelty. It exposed it. It didn't make them cold. It revealed the frost in their hearts that was already there. Every cold glance, every passive-aggressive jab, every time they chose comfort over standing with you, it was all written down. They thought those little betrayals would vanish into the air, but the universe keeps perfect records. And let's be clear, your suffering wasn't for nothing. It was a mirror. It showed the division between those who pretended to love truth and those who actually lived it. It revealed who had integrity and who was loyal only when loyalty cost them nothing. Your pain became the dividing line, the measuring stick of hearts. And now that the very storms you warned about are raging, they can't run from it anymore. The way they treated you is playing back in their minds, louder than the chaos around them. They'll try to excuse